I think we all are going to talk about the moment where I think we all expended the most energy dancing a bit later in the show. But let's start with the beginning. Dr. Darkness and Yeti. RJ, what did you think of the 1-2 punch opener?
Yeah, I was thinking about like last night compared to Friday, and I felt like the Rockdale opener on Friday was just like such a crowd pleasing way to kick it off, and like I think the crowd got going with Yeti and Dr. Darkness. We were just sort of easing into the show, but really good. I mean, their sound and the Met is amazing, but the sound is just so good. It's like from the beginning, and the crowd is just, Goose fans are great, man. Like these people who wait outside all day long to try to get into the venue, to get on the grail, and then it's just it's great to see such high energy. So I thought it was a cool way to start. And yeah, I'm not like, I'm like Yeti, but it's actually like I don't know why I think that, because it's an awesome raging song.
It was hot. Vickers, what about you?
Yeah, no, Darkness had that like extended dark intro, like reminded me a little bit of like the New Year's Darkness. The vocal shenanigans, Rick doing that dark laughing, like it. I guess set like that dark mood. And Yeti's just, as RJ said, crowd pleaser. I think was that the first time we saw Peter on guitar too, and I think gave him a little time to shine.
Yeah.
At the Met,
he really ripped that one.
Dude, he was on the guitar so much last night,
which was great. We kind of, I was looking for that after no guitar on night one, and then we got Born for half an hour. This was, quite the thing for them to drop as the third song of the show. They've played 3 shows so far on this tour, and each one has had a big jam, over 25 minutes. This one is the newer, faster arrangement of Born, which I'm still kind of getting used to. I think I still like the slower one better. But this was another one where they're just demonstrating patience, and they're just exploring the space that they were in no hurry, letting the music take them instead of pushing into a groove like they usually do. And there's that quiet segment in like the second half, like that really mellow jam. Really amazing textures from Peter, and that I want to highlight that. But yeah, what did you guys think of this jam?
Well, I was thinking during that part, and I loved that quiet part. It was so cool, and I don't know the music as much as you guys do. I feel like that doesn't happen that often. Those like nice, like really quiet ambient sections where they really just like explore, like because they're so fast paced, and they're always pushing. It feels like, so I don't know if you guys agree, or is that like kind of a rare thing to have several minutes of kind of extended ambience where they're just sort of like living in that quiet space?
Yeah, I think Ryan, you hit it. That feels like the theme of 2023, just that like more patient jams. Like you're totally, I guess in years past, a lot of their jams, they maybe rush to a peak or something like that, but they're really just kind of sitting in it. And this is like the perfect example of that. Like the first jam, we were calling Born Cadia, but really just slowly kind of developed into that. And then that second jam was that almost like a dark bliss. And I don't know how long it went out for, like 5-6 minutes or something like that. But it was awesome.
It was a while. This was crazy. Like it was hard to believe that it was half an hour. Like that, 29-minute Born is the third song of the show, and so I'm excited.
I gotta. I think Ryan might be freezing.
And then we got Walcott. First time since last June. I was very, very excited to see Walcott. It's my first one. Rick tried to segue into it like 6 or 7 minutes earlier than they actually did. But then, just kept vamping on the jam, and then they just kept going with it for a while. So, Walcott teases in the Born. But I loved that we got a Walcott last night. It was great.
You called it early too, like.
Well, I called it when he teased it. Yeah. When he tried to segue in at like 22 minutes in.
Yeah, and I was re-listening to that jam today. I feel like that was when like the jam kind of went a little bit like major key, and then Ben started driving to the peak too. I mean, yeah, it was just a great jam overall.
Yeah, and you guys, Ryan, I love your calling of the songs based on the first note of like to come off of an effect that's one of them does. That was really that's pretty. With Fish, I'm like pretty good after 2 notes of calling the song, but
yeah,
you have it before they start playing, which is fun.
there are clues like if Peter has guitar keys, where his microphones are positioned, like Rick has certain like mannerisms where how he'll cue the beginning of certain songs. So it's I'm a nerd.
Nobody's disputing that.
Yes.
But you guys, everyone was excited to hear that Walcott for sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
It was great. And then we get Rum and then Seekers to close the rest of the set. Rum, they've just kind of been like blowing up the last little while. Like, I don't know, probably the last year or so. We've been getting these really good like 12 to 15-minute versions of the song that cover a lot of ground and are just like relentless. So this was one of those, like, the yin and yang from the Born. Like there we had like the patience and the ambience, and then Rum is just like straight ahead fire.
Yeah, we got to end the Butter Rum slander. I'm here to do that because it just absolutely rages, gets the crowd going every time. They had this little like stop start moment too, and I feel like that's what really had like the crowd just completely go off. And yeah, live Butter Rum is it's always a rager.
It was really cool to see, and I think that that was my second Butter Rum in 3 shows, so like definitely getting used to it. But like my wife Rachel was like, I don't know if I like this song, and I was like, just give it 7 minutes and it'll be great. And
That's how it always is.
I've learned that.
That's great.
It was really, really cool to see that, like you mentioned, the kind of contrast in the improv approach. They were really pushing pretty hard there. So it's cool that they have such a diverse, I guess they're like diverse ways of approaching improv. It's not just the building sweet peaks, and there's a lot of diversity, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then I like Seekers in this spot. I think we talked about this on the pod a lot. Late first set is the spot for Seekers. This is where this song belongs. This is where it thrives. I thought it was great. I was in need of a bathroom break too. So Seekers Part 1 was fantastic. And back to Rage Part 2, which was great.
Yeah, I think I told you this, Ryan. I've been to 8 shows, and I have 4 Seekers 1 and 2, so a total of 8 Seekers in 8 shows. But yeah, it's always great.
Wow.
Seekers Part 2 is always great. I think they cut out Tumble. That would have been an interesting choice maybe to end the set on, but Seekers 2 always gets it going.
Was that the only one they cut from the list that you guys saw from set 1?
Yeah,
I think that was the only thing they cut from set 1, and then obviously you're upset about some of the things that they cut from set 2, RJ. I know.
They're just messing with me.
They are. Listen, I'm excited to get that Way It Is tonight. It's gonna be great. That's why I'm going to Cleveland, because I know they're gonna play it because you're not there. It's all for the Way It Is. And then set break, we had a great, obviously we're talking about our crew, but we got to see lots of people in the surrounding area as well. I forgot to mention Greg Knight was there with us last night. We had a lot of great people. And so by the time the second set started, we were very energized. I think we were all very energized at the beginning of the second set. And then they came out with this SOS. And I think like the 3 of us and Neil, at least, like we were like, I think all of us really just used all of our energy dancing during SOS, and then it was like we were way more subdued for the rest of the set. I don't know if you guys felt the same way.
Well, I guess, Ryan, you had the excuse of this is your 3rd show in 3 nights. We had the excuse of being in our 40s. So, maybe we took it a little bit, too hard on that first. But yeah, I mean, SOS, for me, always like a very sneaky just banger. You get like the Pete solo, the Rick shredding, and just I love it as a set 2 opener. It's awesome.
multi-section. I mean, it's a great song. I'm like at that point in my knowledge of Goose where I like forget about songs, you know, or I have to like refresh myself on, because like some songs kind of sound the same to me at the beginning, and then I'm, you know, like, wait, what is this again? But that's, so I think that's the first time I've seen that live, and it's really cool. It's really, man. There was a lot going on there. I got like a pretty good like minute long video during the you know, when Rick was like just building the peak, and crowd was going nuts, and that was it was definitely a highlight for sure.
Yeah, every version of SOS that you see live feels like the best version of SOS they've ever played, and it's awesome.
That's a sign of a good song.
It's such a good song. It was great. And then they followed up with Lead Up. I mean, I'm a huge fan of this song. Again, more Peter guitar, just rock and roll Rick. Really excellent song. I thought it was good, like a great 1-2 punch to open the second set. Here, we'll talk about the next song in a minute, but I thought it was, I really liked this song and the placement. I was very excited to see it for a second time. But yeah, what did you guys think of this?
Yeah, I mean, I love Lead Up. I feel like Rick really likes it. Like, just I don't know, just something I was getting from that last night. I don't know, Archie, what do you think that song sounds like? It almost feels like a little bit like 90s rock almost, or like older school rock. I don't know, but yeah, I'd be curious to get your thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I do think you're right. Like, I think like I see this with Fish and a lot of other bands. Like, the new material is just super energizing to the artists, you know, and you can tell that they're just happy to be playing new stuff. Like Thatch is like that still, I think, you know, and this seems like, but yeah, it's like it's an interesting, like, you think about these new songs, even just Thatch compared to last night. I mean, totally different approaches, totally different songs, and totally different styles. But yeah, it's more of like a like 90s alt rock kind of tune, which is great. And I think that's where I
was gonna say, I said at the debut, it kind of felt like Chili Peppersy.
I think that's why if people are like, well, Goose just sounds like every other jam band, it's just like you really, that's just, I mean, that's demonstrably false if you listen, especially with the new material. I think they're going in more and more diverse directions with the new songs, and I just like starting with, you know, the Dripfield stuff. I mean, it's just it's crazy. It's definitely pushing boundaries, which I think is awesome. I wonder if it's conscious, like in terms of like not sounding like, you know, jam bands. Like, and I know Rick, and you know, I know they're all fans of a lot of music, including a lot of indie rock and that sort of thing. But it is interesting if they're doing that consciously, or if that's just where the inspiration comes from.
Yeah, I agree. And man, I'm excited to see how this song continues to evolve and where it kind of settles in to placement in the show. You know, we got it in the first set at the Cap. We got it, you know, early second set last night. So I'm curious to see where it kind of lands. And then there they go into So Ready. To me, this was like the only really big misstep of the night, set list wise. I feel like, you know, we're in the middle of the second set now. We're 2 songs in. We've kind of gotten like the energy is ready to go, primed for like a Madhavan and All I Need, a Wisteria, something like that for a big jam. But they dropped the So Ready, which the energy did not dip at all, because the energy can't dip during So Ready. The place was going nuts still. Very amazing So Ready. But I was looking for a jam at this point in the set, personally. How did you guys feel about the mid-set to So Ready?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm always just happy to be there. Like, I would have liked Empress. I know that was kind of left off the set list. I would have been, you know, so if I think about like what I would have switched in or out, I still haven't chosen a team yet. I know people have been asking me that, you know, team so or team slow. I don't know. RJ, what are you?
We'll be hosting a special episode of The Choice, the Vicar's Choice, when he does decide to commit to one team.
Taking my talents to Slow Ready.
That's right.
I do think the comments of like Slow Ready is just a sexy song that's a hard view to argue with. I do think like to your point, Ryan, like it's a little formulaic, you know. in the middle of a set. Like, you know what it's going to be like, and I think it's rarely goes way out there. So I see what you mean. I did have a lot of friends who were coming to Philly who didn't, go to Boston, and who really wanted to hear So Ready. So I think it's, there are a lot of people I knew who were excited to hear that. But it is an interesting call in the middle of a second set, especially given the second set on Friday night, which just felt like just like a more cohesive adventure, sort of.
Yeah. I was speaking with Neil about this yesterday, but I actually, now that I remember, I took that chance to just look around the crowd, and at my previous shows were Westville of last year. The crowd was just a different vibe. It was, I think, pre-Trey, Radio City, Red Rocks, even Mohegan. And I felt like half the crowd didn't maybe know all the songs, or I don't know, just felt like newer. These Philly shows were the first ones where you were looking around the crowd and everybody knew the songs. Like everybody was like, it was just a different kind of energy. I mean, maybe you guys have gone to other shows, since then, but that, so during So Ready, was that also the one where I think Pete called out the balcony after he was like, yeah, it was right after that too, right?
I
So,
think
I mean,
so, yeah.
the crowd was loving it. So I guess hard to argue with the live crowd, even if it doesn't, hold up on tape.
It was
Well,
a
very
lot
well
of
put.
and more Peter guitar, which is great. I mean, his antics while he's playing guitar are just amazing. It's
His antics in
really,
general.
yeah, and it's fun. It's infectious. So I think that's cool. And as with any live music, like whatever's driving them is what we're gonna get. So it wasn't. I thought it was an interesting choice, and I was also expecting some, just like a Madhavan or something, but it was great.
There we go. And then the set closes with the improvisational meet, if you will, the Rosewood and the Drip Fields. Great pairing here. The Rosewood was hot once again. Rick popped the string during his So Ready solo, and so used his backup guitar for the song part of Rosewood. And then when, shout out to Padge, stage manager, and whatever other members of the crew were on that, replacing the string during Rosewood, so Rick could have his guitar back for the jam. That was great. And so he, the crowd loved him switching guitars as the jam started, which gave Peter a chance to kind of, step out initially. But it was great. It was hot. Segue into Dripfield was great. This is Dripfield we're talking about here. Like, it kills every single time. And like they got into it here. Also interesting on the set list, we'll talk about this one after we talk about this, but this wasn't supposed to be the set closer. It's supposed to be a mid-set drip field, which doesn't happen very often at all.
Well, I feel like the set list is based on what I've seen from like the printouts is a template, right? Like, it's like, here are 10 songs and maybe we'll only get to 6, guideline. Yeah, exactly. I was at the second night of Westville, New Haven, when they played Dripfield and then left and came out and finished it. And I was wondering if they were going to do that. I don't know if they've done that a lot since then, but that was so awesome to see. Rosewood is interesting. There's like I think I said to Neil during that at some point, maybe to you guys, like, if their singing wasn't so good, it would sound like a really, really classic jam band song, just like the chorus but like their singing just takes it to like a different level. But I really like it. But I was excited to hear that segue in the drip field for sure.
Yeah, that was Ryan knows I'm a bit of a fluffer when it comes to certain songs like Arcadia and Tumble. I feel like those are the ones that I'll always fluff. And I'm not going to hasty rank, but that was my first Rosewood. And I love Rosewood jams. And I love jams where, it's not Rick, leading things or driving things. Like I kind of, the Chrysalis Earthling or Alien is kind of like the my favorite example of that. But it just kind of built around Ben and Jeff. Like, they were really driving that thing and just have this great beat. And then they shift to this kind of like grungier rock sound and rock and peak. I mean, I could talk about Rosewoods forever, but I love this one. Yeah, and then Dripfield set closer. You can't complain. I think more, Ben and Jeff, more sort of like percussion driven, jamming and just great ending to the set too.
Yeah, and just like shout out to Ben and Jeff, and that combined sound, like polyrhythm, I guess is the easiest way to put it. Like that is Dripfield, and without their combination, like that song wouldn't really be possible, So that's like it's always there, but it kind of is emphasized during certain songs. And I feel like Dripfield is like the prime example where it's like this rhythmic drumming is what propels the whole thing.
Yeah, I think Ryan's on mute, but I think I've said that before. Like Goose is Dripfield, Dripfield is Goose, especially like the two drummer, Goose.
Yeah, it is the primal drums, a primal banger, as we like to say sometimes. And then in the encore slot, we get it's the end of a 2-night run. We're playing somewhere else tomorrow, and we're gonna play a quick rocker here. And they drop the Love Light. Nice Secret Agent Man tease in the middle there, which is pretty cool. Obviously, as I say every single time there's a tease that we talk about, I love teases. I love hearing them and getting to note them on the set list. So
I appreciate neither of you guys mentioning that I was not there during the encore.
I wasn't gonna blow up your spot like that.
So here's the thing about the hometown shows are the difficulty is that if you have kids, like we had a babysitter 3 nights in a row because Thursday night we went out to dinner, but these shows ended. What time did they end? Each end of encore was 12:30,
12:15, 12:30. Yeah.
So like we were like we gotta go home, and I'm glad that my buddy I was in the Uber with was checking your feed to make sure they didn't play the way it is as an encore, because that was
you missed Love Light. Okay.
The worst. Yeah, I was like, actually, that's okay. But anyway, we got out pretty quickly. But what? I don't know if I've heard one of those recently. So it's a little more in the rock vein than like the Dead vein. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. More aggressive. That was last played in St. Louis in October. Love Light. So been a minute. And then after the show, RJ, unfortunately, you weren't there for it, but we were all, our little group, we didn't want to leave. We were all just chatting for a while, enjoying the great company. Shout out to Megan as well, who was there with us last night. I don't know. I may have missed other people who were in our crew, but what a crew we had. It was great.
Yeah.
Super
Very fun
run.
Ryan introduced me to Ben, but then who is not on Twitter or I feel like the internet, and introduced me as like an internet legend. And Ben was just like, he was actually very nice about it, but it was a little embarrassing.
Yeah,
but,
I was like, this guy is a Twitter legend right here, and Ben was very politely like, I guess that is important, but cool,
Shout out to Ben for not making it super awkward. Shout out to
the whole Atkins family, who's awesome.
Yeah.
Micah and her popcorn, we talked about that on the pod yesterday. For anybody who does not follow Micah or Michael on social media, Micah did get her popcorn again last night, and she did have it for breakfast again this morning. There was talk of the popcorn box being framed. There's a lot in the popcorn saga. So, but
a popcorn box made it back to our house too. I think night one.
Okay, nice. Micah misses her popcorn. There you go. Well, that brings us to the end.
What do you guys?
Oh, yeah,
Ryan. Well, I just have a question for both of you guys. What show will you go back to more? Friday or Saturday or Thursday? I guess or maybe of the last 3.
Probably Friday for me. I think it's the most complete show. I felt that both sets were great. There's improv in both sets, so as a full show, probably Friday. And I think Echo is the jam of the first 3 shows for me.
Yeah, same for me. The Echo is one of my many hasty ranks for sure. Would you put that as your jam of the year right now, Ryan, or do you have the Cap Drive?
I don't know. I'm not ready to do that yet. I haven't done an A/B with the Cap Drive yet. We'll see where that winds up.
I said in a text
But
thread
we're
this morning with some friends that it might be the jam of the century. So that I'm just
Ooh.
trying to be modest.
That's a hasty rank. I like that.
Trying to be very
You're
modest.
good at those. You're good at those. Well, that brings us to the end of our Philly recap. We are back at it tomorrow at 3:30. We'll be talking about tonight's show in Cleveland. We'll see. Hopefully, I get some sleep in the next 24 hours, so I'm able to coherently talk about the podcast, about the show tonight. Hopefully, I a lot on the line here, but it's Showhio. They're going to play an awesome show tonight, whether you're on the couch, whether you're at the show. Obviously, we're very excited because, Goose is on tour. Fourth night, and then we get a night off before they're in Athens. And then, RJ, I know you're hopping back on it at the Ryman. Vickers, are you going to the Ryman? I forget.
No. I think the next one may be Asbury Park, but we'll see.
Nice. All right.
Nice.
Well, thank you both so much for being on today. I look forward to having you both back on again soon. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We will see you right back here tomorrow afternoon.